you're gonna break down, you're gonna break down in the middle of nowhere. You know, I'm not the only stranger this ever happened to. One day long ago, another stranger broke down here.
It was April 19th, 1897. The only difference is he never lived to tell about it. A local news reporter gave the story to the Dallas Morning News, and it's been in and out of print ever since. Jim Mars of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram.
Well, the newspaper clipping simply said that a cigar-shaped object, brightly illuminated, floated overhead in the early morning hours and crashed on the hillside. And then in the story it said the pilot of the craft, comma, which was not of this earth, comma, was given a Christian burial in Aurora Cemetery.
But one resident of Aurora since 1920, Miss Etta Pegas, considered an expert on the town's history, disagrees.
I never heard of the Spaceman. I moved to Aurora in 1920, and not one word did anybody ever mention about it.
However, an eyewitness, 86-year-old Charlie Stevens, claims when he was 7 in 1897, he saw the crash.
We don't want to trouble you too much about this because we know you're not feeling too well.
Because of the years of harassment, he refused to appear on camera, but he did agree to talk to us.
Think you could tell me what you remember about the night that the light went over the house?
There's been more people, more told about that, but I seen it with my own eyes. It fell.
Something fell there.
So we went up there and seen the spot where it burned.
Some people think it's a hoax.
But it fell.
It fell.
It wouldn't be until the late 60s that the International UFO Bureau would uncover the story. Hayden Hughes, director of IUFOB.
This is one of the controversial aspects of the incident. Were the news accounts at the time genuine?
Tell me the truth. What do you think? Is there anything here?
In 1973, when I came here first, there was at least a partial headstone here. I'll show you what I saw. There was only half of a tombstone, which went something like this. And on this was a very curious mark that went something like this. This was just a rock that had been hand hewed, and this had been chipped out of it with some kind of chisel or something. But as you can see, it's just a curious little object. But I think we could see if there was the other half was on here, we'd have what appeared to be a tombstone. And if you brought this mark to this side, you would have something like this, which gives you a definite saucer shape.
What do you think this is?
I think it's just a piece of fiction.
Yeah,
It keeps Wise County on the map, that's all I can say.
Keeping Wise County on the map is the reason Miss Etta and many others believe the Spaceman story was written. From what she told me, the gay 90s had not been kind to the little town of Aurora. They'd lost cotton to the boll weevil, half the business district in a fire, and hundreds of citizens to spotted fever. People left the town in droves. In those days, even a Martian wouldn't be caught dead in Aurora.
The general consensus of opinion is that he wrote this story to bring people back into the community. See, that spotted fever caused a veritable stampede out of the town.
Well, we were not dealing just with one case. All over, people were reporting something, and one of these somethings appears to have crashed.
The crash site today is owned by Mrs. Brawley Oates, who gets calls in the middle of the night and thousands of visitors at her door.
There sure has been a lot of them here. The thing about it, they just pressed me for what's happened here, and if there's anything happened here, I don't know about it, see. My grandkids went out there with a screen off one of my screen doors, and they sifted sand out there, and they found little particles of metal. Lead-looking metal, but it wasn't lead.
Another clue, leading to still more questions.
I know one thing, it don't never die down. Just on and on. It's just like a mushroom. It just gets bigger and bigger, and it just goes further and further all over the world.
One man who has tried to keep the story from spreading any further is the sheriff of Aurora. Armed with a shotgun, he spent 24 hours a day guarding the graves in the cemetery from treasure hunters and curiosity seekers. And in return, all he got was an ulcer.
Were you the one that, you're the guy...
While I gassed up, we had a few words.
Yeah, you were up here with a shotgun?
Very few.
So a lot of the town people here believe that there's a UFO up there?
A lot of them did, a lot of them didn't.
It fell,
Something fell there.
and when they tell you it didn't fall, they're telling you a lie.
What do you think? Do you think they should get down there and dig it up and settle it once and for all?
No.
If we can find the exact grave and get the permission from the Aurora Cemetery Association to actually exhume bodies for evidence, that we could have the evidence of extraterrestrial visitation.
Mr. Nobles, you represent the Aurora Cemetery Association. What's their position in this matter?
They have a very definite objection to anybody going down there with pick and shovel and wanting to dig a hole.
Why?
Well, they're afraid somebody will dig up Grandma.
They are afraid, and I would be too, that there'd be a germ lurking there if they dug up somebody that died with that spotted fever and get the thing started again.
Well, that's the story of the Aurora Spaceman. Part of the story lies buried here in the Aurora Cemetery. And the rest of the story is inside that house, locked up in the mind of 86-year-old Charlie Stevens.
And when they tell you it didn't fall, they're telling you a lie.